Hey crew, it is Pitt and I am back with some more philosophy. Today we are diving back into the works of Friedrich Nietzsche. We are in part 2. We are up to 43, I think is how you read that. I'm not great with Roman numerals, but it is what it is. I'm not, I didn't read ahead to see how close we are to the next section, but we should be getting close. This is probably going to be a short video. I'm going to start section 3 on its own whenever it pops up, but we should be getting close, just so you know. I hope it's not just one chapter, because that would be really short. If Before we begin, however, we are reading aloud from Thus Spake Zarathustra. We're discussing as we go along the various things that are brought up in here. If you are unfamiliar with me, any of my unconventional beliefs, or if at any point in time you get lost in the terminology or anything along those roads, there are several playlists that are linked up here that can bring you back to the beginning and you can understand where I am coming from. With that being said, we are going to dive in and begin reading from Thus Spake Zarathustra 43, Manly Prudence. Not the height, it is the declivity that is terrible. The declivity, where the gaze shooteth downward, and the hand graspeth upward, there doth the heart become giddy through its double will. Ah, friends, do ye divine also my heart's double will? This is my declivity and my danger, that my gaze shooteth towards the summit, and my hand would fain clutch and lean on the depth. To man clingeth my will, with chains do I bind myself to man, because I am pulled upwards to the Superman, for thither doth mine other will tend. And therefore do I live blindly among men, as if I knew them not, that my hand may not entirely lose belief and firmness. I know not you men, this gloom and consolation is often spread around me. I sit at the gateway for every rogue, and ask, who wisheth to deceive me? This is my first manly prudence, that I allow myself to be deceived, so as not to be on my guard against deceivers. Ha! If I were on my guard against man, how could man be an anchor to my ball? Too easily would I be pulled upwards and away. This providence is over my fate, that I have to be without foresight. And he who would not languish among men must learn to drink out of all glasses, and he who would keep clean amongst men must know how to wash himself even with dirty water. And thus spake I often to myself for consolation. Courage, cheer up, old heart, an unhappiness hath failed to befall thee. Enjoy that as thy happiness. This, however, is mine other manly prudence. I am more forbearing to the vain than to the proud. Is not wounded vanity the mother of all tragedies? Where, however, pride is wounded, there groweth up something better than pride. That life may be fair to behold, its game must be well played. For that purpose, however, it needeth good actors. Good actors have I found all the vain ones. They play and wish people to be fond of beholding them. All their spirit is in this wish. They represent themselves, they invent themselves. In their neighborhood I like to look upon life. It cureth of melancholy. Therefore I am forbearing to the vain, because they are physicians of my melancholy, and keep me attached to man as to drama. And further, who convinceth the full depth of the modesty of the vain man? I am favorable to him, and sympathetic on account of his modesty. From you would he learn his belief in himself. He feedeth upon your glances. He eateth praise out of your hands. Your lies doth he even believe when you lie favorably about him, for in its depths sigheth his heart, what am I? And if that be the true virtue which is unconscious of itself, well, the vain man is unconscious of his modesty. This is, however, my third manly prudence. I am not put out of conceit with the wicked by your timorousness. I am happy to see the marvels the warm sun hatcheth, tigers and palms and rattlesnakes. Also amongst men there is a beautiful brood of the warm sun, and much that is marvelous in the wicked. In truth, as your wisest did not seem to me so very wise, so found I also human wickedness below the fame of it. And oft did I ask with a shake of the head, why still rattle, ye rattlesnakes? Verily, there is still a future, even for evil, and the warmest south is still undiscovered by man. How many things are now called the worst wickedness, which are only 12 feet broad and 3 months long? Some day, however, will greater dragons come into the world. For that the Superman may not lack his dragon, the super dragon that is worthy of him, there must still much warm sun glow on moist, virgin forest. Out of your wild cats must tigers have evolved, and out of your poisoned toads, crocodiles, for the good hunter shall have a good hunt. And verily, ye good and just, in you there is much to be laughed at, and especially your fear of what hath hitherto been called the devil. So alien are ye in your souls to what is great, that to you the Superman would be frightful in his goodness. And ye wise and knowing ones, ye would flee from the solar glow of the wisdom in which the Superman joyfully baketh his nakedness. Ye highest men who have come within my ken, this is my doubt of you, and my secret laughter. I suspect ye would call my Superman a devil. Ha! I became tired of those highest and best ones. From their height did I long to be up, out, and away to the Superman. A horror came over me when I saw those best ones naked. Then there grew for me the pinions to soar away into distant futures. Into more distant futures, into more southern south than ever artist dreamed of. Thither, where gods are ashamed of all clothes. But disguised do I want to see you, you neighbors and fellowmen, and well attired and vain and estimable, as the good and just. And disguised will I make myself sit among you, that I may mistake you and myself, for that is my last manly prudence. And so, this is more talking about a man, right? Like, the vanity of men is thinking that you're correct. One of the vanities of men. There is the vanity of self, where well, I'm a pretty fella. And then there's the vanity of knowledge, where I know more than you. And there's the vanity of association, where I am better than you. So, that is, in general, what I'm pulling from this passage was, you think you're good, but are you? You think that you're doing the correct thing, but are you? Because chances are that if you think you are good, you are doing nothing. Right? If you think that you are, then you are probably not. And so this is talking about being among those, but still striving to be good. He's chained himself to people to help try to pull them up, even though he really, really wants to live his full life, his created destiny of being exactly who God created him to be. But his problem is that he doesn't believe in God, because the control systems has convinced everybody that you should be more scared of the devil than you should be loving of God. And that is a truth. That is an unavoidable problem with our current society, and definitely in the society that he was in. 44. The stillest hour. What hath happened unto me, my friends? Ye see me troubled, driven forth, unwillingly obedient, ready to go. Alas, to go away from you. Yea, once more must Zarathustra retire to his solitude, but unjoyously this time doth the bear go back to his cave. What hath happened unto me? Who ordereth this? Mine angry mistress wishes it so. She spake unto me. Have I ever named her name to you? Yesterday, towards evening, there spake unto me my stillest hour, that is, the name of my terrible mistress. And thus did it happen, for everything must I tell you, and your heart may not harden against the suddenly departing one. Do you know the terror of him who falleth asleep? To the very toes he is terrified, because the ground giveth way under him. and the dream beginneth. This do I speak unto you in parable. Yesterday, at the stillest hour, did the ground give way under me. The dream began. The hour hand moved on. The timepiece of my life drew breath, and never did I hear such stillness around me, so that my heart was terrified. Then was there spoken unto me without voice, Thou knowest it, Zarathustra? And I cried in terror at this whispering, and the blood left my face, but I was silent. Then was there once more spoken unto me without voice, Thou knowest it, Zarathustra, but thou dost not speak it. And at last I answered, like one defiant, Yea, I know it, but I will not speak it. Then was there again spoken unto me without voice, Thou wilt not, Zarathustra? Is this true? Conceal thyself not behind thy defiance. And I wept and trembled like a child, and said, I would indeed, but how can I do it? Accept me only from this, it is beyond my power. Then was there again spoken unto me without voice, What matter about thyself, Zarathustra? Speak thy word and succumb. And I answered, what is my word? Who am I? I await the worthier one. I am not worthy even to succumb by it. Then was there again spoken unto me without voice, What matter about thyself? Thou art not yet humble enough for me. Humility hath the hardest skin. And I answered, What hath not the skin of my humility endured? At the foot of my height do I dwell. How high are my summits? No one hath told me yet. But well do I know my valleys. Then was there again spoken unto me without voice, O Zarathustra, he who hath to remove mountains removeth also valleys and plains. And I answered, As yet hath my word not removed mountains? And what have I spoken hath not yet reached man? I went indeed unto men, but not yet have I attained unto them. Then was there again spoken unto me without voice, What knowest thou thereof? The dew falleth on the grass when the night is most silent. And I answered, They mocked me when I found, and walked in mine own path, and certainly did my feet then tremble. And thus did they speak to me, Thou forgottest the path before, now dost thou also forget how to walk? Then was there again spoken unto me without voice, What matter about their mockery? Thou art one who hast unlearned to obey. Now shalt thou command. Knowest thou not who is most needed by all? He who commandeth great things. To execute great things is difficult, but the more difficult task is to command great things. This is thy most unpardonable obstinacy. Thou hast the power, and thou wilt not rule. And I answered, I lack the lion's voice for all commanding. Then was there again spoken unto me as whispering, It is the stillest words which bring the storm, thoughts that come with dove's footsteps guide the world. O Zarathustra, thou shalt go as a shadow of that which is to come. Thus wilt thou command, and in commanding go foremost. And I answered, I am ashamed. Then was there again spoken unto me without voice, Thou must yet become a child, and be without shame. The pride of youth is still upon thee. Late hast thou become young, but he who would become a child must surmount even his youth. And I considered a long while, and trembled, and at last, however, did I say what I had said at the first, I will not. Then did a laughing take place all around me. Alas, how that laughing lacerated my bowels, and cut into my heart. And there was spoken unto me for the last time, O Zarathustra, thy fruits are ripe, but thou art not ripe for thy fruits. So must thou go again into solitude, for thou shalt yet become mellow. And again was there a laughing, and it fled. Then did it become still around me, as with a double stillness. I lay, however, on the ground, and the sweat flowed from my limbs. Now have you heard all, and why I have to return into my solitude. Nothing have I kept hidden from you, my friends. But even this have ye heard from me, who is still the most reserved of men, and will be so. Ah, my friends, I should have something more to say unto you. I should have something more to give unto you. Why do I not give it? Am I then a niggard? That's not a bad word. When, however, Zarathustra had spoken these words, the violence of his pain and a sense of nearness of his departure from his friends came over him, so that he wept aloud, and no one knew how to console him. In the night, however, he went away alone and left his friends. And here's the third part. So we didn't do one, we got two. At least it's a little bit longer. I say quite often, maybe not often enough, but I do say quite often that this channel is open to everyone. But it is not for everyone. Some people are turned off by the sound of my voice. Some people don't like the way that it cracks because I am still doing vocal therapy. Some people don't like the tone or the cadence. Some people don't like the format of the video. Some people don't like whatever. But within here, there is wisdom. Not necessarily in this particular video, but in some of them, there is at least a little bit of wisdom that I dispense. And not everybody is ready for wisdom. Chances are that if you are on your path, you are on your path alone. You have to form your own path, and you have to put away being ashamed of that fact. That was a hard one for me, right? To walk the path that I am on was a long, drawn-out process. I fought screaming and kicking and biting and gnashing of teeth the entire way of doing what I am doing here. For a decade, I ran from this type of a situation. Now, it's not necessarily the philosophy, right? If you've been through the Bible study, I stepped on a lot of toes in that. You go through the Hermetics and the ancient wisdoms, I step on toes in that. And it took me a long time to be comfortable with stepping on those toes. It took me a long time to understand that the systems that are in place are not necessarily correct just because they have been in place for a long time. It took me a long time to understand that I had to buck the system. I had to be the one out here dropping knowledge where nobody wanted to. I had to be the one out here calling out the bullshit when I see it. I had to be the one out here trying to explain some of the things that are more esoteric in a more exoteric way, right? Take it from the spiritual and ground it into reality. That is what I do. I believe in the spiritual in a way that Nietzsche absolutely did not. And it was only through that revelatory process that I became comfortable with what he is clearly uncomfortable with. Walking your own path is difficult. It is extremely difficult to stay when everybody else is screaming at you that you're wrong. My own house is divided in a great way, and this is not something that I talk about a lot. I have my path of faith, and my wife has her path of faith, and they are not the same. We agree on God, but we don't agree on some of the specifics. What I have done in this unconventional Bible study, she doesn't even want to talk about. And that's fine, because for me, I'm okay with breaking the system. She is better with a system. And so we can be at odds in that way because I can accept what she does. But she doesn't really accept what I do over here. I am alone, even in my own house, walking this path. And that's okay, because I am not alone in this path. I have a companion, even if I seem to be alone right now. God is with me. 100% of what I do is checked with Him first. Most of the words that come out of my mouth in these studies comes from Him. I am just taking it, identifying it, and letting it go without the filter that I naturally want to apply to it to make it more palatable, because I am an extremely flexible person. If you don't know what that means, check out the MBTI playlist, but I am extremely flexible. I will accommodate you to excess, to the point where I am diminished by it. That is who I naturally am. And what I had to do was to not be. to be okay with the guy who is called a heretic by almost everybody. The people who choose to walk the path that I am need to know that it is a tough one. I hold myself to the highest, most exacting standard that you can possibly imagine. Does that mean I never fail? Absolutely not. But I do try. But that standard also is not the extreme one that someone else may think about, right? I don't say that you can't drink. I don't say that you can't cuss. I don't say that you can't do a whole lot of anything. Life is about moderation, and that is a hard lesson for a lot of people. Your path and my path don't have to naturally align. If you are seeking truth and wisdom, I hold full confidence that eventually you will wind up on my path, but you probably won't like it. I hated it, right? Do you know how hard it is to be separated spiritually from your own family? Right? And that's not like a level of condemnation, right? We don't have arguments. There's not vitriol behind it, but we're not aligned. I would love it if she came where I'm at, but I can't go where she is. And so it's a natural state of equilibrium at the moment. I am fine with walking my own path, but it is a tough path and most people cannot do it. The gate is too small. It is too hard to hold yourself accountable. When I mess up, I am the first one to fix it. Right? I have to be. I can't ignore it. I have to be the one to address it. If you don't know what I'm talking about there, I shot myself in the foot one time. More than one time, but that one time's a significant one for the reactions, right? There is somebody on this channel that I cannot deal with because they don't align. Most of the people I deal with don't align, but if you're really out of alignment, I can't, right? I've cut myself out of a lot of opportunities because I can't take advantage of them. It would be morally wrong. And that's not even according to everyone else's standard. I could do it according to everyone else's standard and be fine. It is my standard on my road that is so tough that I hold, that I have to be accountable for. It is the same. Right? He was feeling the same thing. His friends don't get it. My friends don't get it. I don't have friends anymore. It is a tough path when you want to improve yourself. I am out here exercising as a crippled man every day, harder than most full-able-bodied people will do. Because I am determined to be the best me. And that might hurt sometimes, and so I'll do it even when it hurts. Most people don't have that determination, and if you don't have that determination, it gets you mad when somebody else does. Nothing will get somebody madder than you fixing you. And not even worrying about them. That'll piss them off, like big time. My videos, right, my shorts. Go back through my shorts. And you can't see them anymore, but the videos that get the dislikes are the ones where I'm telling you to love your neighbor. The videos that get the dislikes are the ones where I'm telling you that it's your responsibility to be morally correct. People hate that. The most dislikes I ever got, I told people to pray for somebody that I don't agree with in any way, shape, or form. That's where the most dislikes I ever got on a single video was telling somebody to pray for somebody else. People do not want to be on the correct path. They will go out of their way to ensure that you can't walk that path because they don't want to. Don't let them do it. Be okay with being by yourself. Is it a hard road? Yes. Is it lonely? Often, but you're not really alone. God is with you. Even when you don't understand it, you can bring it to Him and He will give you peace. It is hard to do the correct thing and not immediately see the results of it either, because you can bet your ass I'm working with that. But that's okay, because eventually things will work out. I have full faith that what I am doing will play out eventually. I am going to continue the same thing that I have been doing. I will drop knowledge. I will break narratives. I will shatter what you held to be truth in the name of God Almighty Himself. And Not everybody is okay with that. Not everybody can be okay with that, but while my content is open to everyone, it is not for everyone. It is only for those who are willing to put in the work, who are willing to take the time to walk the harder path. It is rocky, it is hard. It's not any easier. The only difference is that you have somebody to walk with you, even when you're all the way alone. And that's where I'm going to go ahead and wrap this one up. This is a lot shorter than I normally like to do, right? I like to keep these around an hour, but I don't want to dive into the third part. I want to keep that separate because that was a whole different point of view for him. If we go back to the beginning, you can see that this part, the mistress was his sister telling them that they had to go back to the mountains because he was too depressive here. That's how that happened, we were told. And so we have something to look at. Hopefully I brought a little bit of enlightenment, not too much confusion, to a somewhat difficult set of topics. There's not a whole lot in this one to dig into, right? But everything that I tell you is with the utmost wanting to give you the truth. It is wanting to show you the gateway to the path. I have so much knowledge dropped in the middle of these that nobody's ever going to watch. Right? When I say nobody, you're watching it, you're this far along, but it's not going to be a bunch. I'm fine with that. I'm walking a path to throw seeds for the ones who are willing to pick them up. I'm not trying to shove them into your bag. I'm not trying to shove them down your throat. I'm here to tell you, not to convince you. There is a better path. It is a hard path, but it is a better one. Separate yourself from those who you know are doing wrong. And it becomes a lot easier to do correct. If you like what I'm doing over here, let me know down below. Give me a like, share, and a sub. Throw me a comment. And if you agree or disagree, if it remains respectful, it gets to remain up. And if you really like what I'm doing over here, hit me with that super thanks because I am not a communist. To the crew, thanks for hanging out. I appreciate every single minute that you are here with me, and I am praying for you every single day. Until next time, I love you. God loves you. You are perfect, whole, and complete, just the way that you are. And this has been Pitt's Take. Peace.